Hello everyone, this is Clash from DOE, doing a first video called Whiteboard Sessions with Clash. We're really going to cover just KOTOR, specifically the Karth Zeta squad right now. And hopefully by the time you get through this, you'll have a better understanding of the new KOTOR squad and of course how they go through all of what they do. Now I've drawn up a little bit already just so that way you guys can kind of see how they're categorized. The first, of course, that most people are familiar with is the Jedi version of KOTOR. Many people see them in the top components of their arena currently, and I don't know that I need to go into too much, but definitely will touch on Juhani later. Really what we want to talk about today is going to be the Karth, the only pure KOTOR person out there, and how he does with some of those little old scoundrelly KOTOR versions, both the light and the dark side. First thing we're going to want to do is look directly at his Zeta because, as we know, that's basically going to be what makes this at all viable with anything. To review quickly, I'm just going to look at essentially what the base mechanics are. A strong buff to potency, tenacity, and of course crit avoidance. These things directly support and benefit, of course, all three of the Scoundrel version of KOTOR, Mission, and Zalbor and Canderous, given their dot-friendly special abilities and basics. Something that you're going to want to take into consideration whenever we're looking at the fifth position as well. One of the best things that this can do really is offer some long-term durability with the 3% gains to both hit points and protection. But what's the coolest part about his leader is, of course, the chance to assist, the 80% chance to assist other of the KOTOR squads on basic. Mission and Zalbar already do some pretty cool doubling up if you have the Mission Zeta as well. So this really helps create some pretty cool assist mechanics, which we'll go through in just a short while. Canderous, being a triple tap type of basic, can also do some pretty significant damage with this. So let's go over the assist mechanics because I think most people understand them, and I think you could probably just sort of intuitively know what they are. But if you've ever watched a video of these, you would kind of see quickly that they are there's a lot going on. And so I'm going to go through a couple examples and then I'll show you a video. First, of course, is an easy one. It would be what I would say is your normal 1, 2, 3. Karth goes, he calls Zalbar, Zalbar calls Mission via her assist to him. Another example could be just Zalbar going, right? He goes first. Mission is called because of the Karth leader. She is then called again because of the Zalbar Zeta, and those can go back and forth. So Mission can go, she could call Zalbar, and then recall herself. So something to consider, and there's a couple ways that you can see that being played out here. I sped this video up just a little bit, but it's of my squad on defense going against the boss-led bounty hunters. Now, look right there. You'll see how much healing is going on whenever a dot is laid down. I will also say these aren't the best geared or the best composition bounty hunters out there. There's 2 G12, the rest are G11, and his Dengar wasn't very good, so he put in an 88. But I think you're going to get pretty quickly how this goes. Now, see this version right there? That's where the triple happens. So Zalbar went, he called Canderous, and then he went and called Mission again. So the triple attack does a lot. One, it does considerable damage, but it also does a considerable amount of healing for the whole team. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this forward so that way you can see. It basically just ends up with this person not really being able to do much against them. There's just too much healing going on. So now let's get into sort of the viability of the fourth and fifth options. I'm going to go ahead and say Canderous is still definitely viable here. I've messed around with him not in there, but let's just keep him in there, and let's talk about a fifth right now. If you stay Old Republic, you really only got a couple options. You could, put in Bastila, but I think most people, know she's much better on her own. So I'm going to talk about Juhani because the Chitara is strong, and I think she's going to be a lot better. I've only got her at gear 11, but 4 stars right now. So that video you saw definitely underpowered to the rest of the squad, but she does some things that I think could be pretty unique to this group, and I think could be something that if you're thinking about gearing them or Zeta and them later, you definitely might not want to miss on her because she does a couple things. One, she's a full team cleanser, and I think that can't be understated. They definitely benefit from that. Second, of course, is her taunt. This almost acts like the Zalbar L3 component where they're dueling taunts where she loses hers once she goes under 100 and he gains his once she goes under 100 and she stealths. She also staggers, and the counter that she does is pretty good as well. It's not a high chance, but it definitely is there, and it can also trigger the same Karth leader effect. So a lot of really good things that can come from her, and I definitely want you to think about that. This could also be something that is used for maybe a Malik or another KOTOR person later on. Others that are viable, I've seen and tried all of these, and I think they're decent. Vader, Wampa, and of course young Han Solo with his Zeta. The young Han Solo with his Zeta I think is pretty cool because he can actually give you some variety of 4 level of assists. Maybe one day we'll see Gamguard make a strong showing in something like this. Probably not, but there's always hoping. So let's look at the PvP. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. The strong danger in using these, heavily gearing these for PvP. They're good-ish against the Bosks, as you saw, non-chewy rebels, and then maybe some Empire-like troopers and others because they can pretty much hold up. Really, the sad news is that they are bad against dang near everything else. Anything meta. Anything that cleanses, anything that enjoys a debuff like Crew or Kanan and the Phoenix, and it's mainly because while they are unique in how they can lay down all of the damage, they don't have great turn meter gains. They don't have great turn meter reduction. They definitely aren't putting any thing down like thermal detonators that can't be dispelled. All of those things are subject to any type of cleanse that's on the team and can go away very quickly. So I say this as a fan, but still, be careful. Only back nodes, save them for offense if you can. Love the squad, love some of the things that they can do, but I truly think they're going to be something that we see in other game modes yet to come, or something that you should really only do if you enjoy PvE. And at this point, I would say let's talk about the modding, but to be honest, it's really too soon. We can definitely talk about the fact that PvE, you're going to need more potency. PvP, you're going to need more speed. The exception, of course, being Canderous, given his unique turn meter gains. But probably better just to have the overall conversation with, depending on what you're going to want to do. A lot of great minds on the Scoundrel Discord server. I've put that link in the description below. So if you haven't, please join, and we can talk about all the ways in which these things can be done. So that's it for me. Again, this was the first whiteboard session with Clash. Any feedback you all have, I would be glad to take. And of course, any requests of information or content that you think will be useful going forward, also glad to put some work in there as well. Other than that, thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.